while trying to decide what to cover next in terms of the Kiely Rodni case, I decided that I would go into YouTube and grab a few thumbnails and ask my subscribers what they wanted me to cover next. And I had in mind a few different angles that I wanted to take. But I simply typed in Kiely Rodni for a search instead of adding any sort of timeline, which I normally do. And I came across a video by a creator who I've not come across before. And this video is only a few days old. And now the channel is called True Crime Stories and Ty Knots, TYNOTTS. So I'm guessing that's probably not his real name. He probably thought he was being funny. And I started listening to it, and it is a very well done sort of documentary style video talking about Kiely's case. But of course, as someone who clearly, the way he runs his channel is that he finds a case and he researches the case, he does a video on the case, and then that's it, it's done. So he hasn't done the deep dives that so many of us have done. So I got probably about 5 minutes into the video, and while I was quite impressed with what he was saying, it was very much the standard line that you hear in regards to Kiely's case. So I decided, I had originally thought that I was going to recommend this video to my subscribers to watch, but I changed my mind after a few things and decided that instead I want to do a reaction to this video. Now, since this is a fairly lengthy video, this is going to be a reaction series rather than just one single reaction video. So this is the first reaction video looking at the video made by this creator, True Crime Stories, discussing Kiely's case. So let's jump in.
Friday, August 5th, 2022, was a beautiful day in the Tahoe National Forest, hosting clear views of Mount Shasta in the distance. Wildflowers were blooming, following the wildfires of summers past, dotting the landscape with purple and yellow hues. Summertime was ending, and people were squeezing in the last few days of seasonal fun before heading back to school. Kiely Rodni had just graduated high school early and with honors, and that's no easy feat. She was due to attend Sierra College in the coming weeks, and her family couldn't have been more proud. On Friday, August 5th, she spent time with her friends making creme brulee, and later she had plans to take part in a summer send-off party at Prosser Campground, which is about a 45-minute drive from Reno, not far from the state line. But it was only about 15 minutes from Kiely's home.
Okay, I get that when you're doing this kind of video, it's a documentary, and your viewers probably aren't familiar with the case, probably aren't as keen to dive deep into it. So you're wanting to not go too far off on tangents while you're discussing the case. So I can understand him leaving bits and pieces out here and there and wanting to create an entertaining narrative. And that's what he's doing here. His main concern is an entertaining narrative. He wants to keep his viewers engaged right through to the end of his video. But in doing that, he is leaving out some things that are very important. And the first thing that I want to comment here is about him talking about her going to the party, making it sound like it was something exciting that she'd been planning to do for ages, and we all know that's not the case. Kiely had made other plans for that night. She was going to go to Reno with her parents to a car show. That was the plan, and it was a last-minute decision to go to the party instead. We don't know why that last-minute decision occurred, but it certainly raises a lot of questions with regards to Kiely's case. So it's actually something that is very important and is worth being aware of.
Prosser Campground is located on a large reservoir and is commonly known to locals as the Sanctuary.
Now, I should have mentioned, I'm not wanting to sound critical of this guy because I think I like the tone of this video that he's making. But I feel it's a really good opportunity to break up Kiely's case and really look at each little aspect a little bit more deeply and clarify things for those people who may have only seen what's on the surface. So let's talk about him discussing the sanctuary as being Prosser Campground. Now, we know that the entirety of Prosser Campground is not the sanctuary. From what we've been told, the sanctuary was just one particular area somewhere within Prosser Campground. We've also heard it speculated that this is not a name that is commonly used by locals. And what's interesting there is that when you look up the name The Sanctuary, it comes up in connection with fight clubs. Not fight clubs at Prosser Campground, but just fight clubs in another location. There is a location called The Sanctuary where fight clubs occur. So just an interesting aside there. But yes, saying that Prosser Campground is known as a sanctuary is not quite accurate.
This was the perfect place for friends to have one last hurrah before going off to college for new adventures. The following morning, around 9 a.m. on August 6th, Kiely had made plans to meet her closest friends, but she never showed. It would turn out that Friday, August 5th, is the last day anyone saw Kiely. Kiely was born and raised in Truckee, California. Her parents, Lindsay and Daniel, were loving and dedicated parents. She also had an 8-year-old brother who thought that she was the best person on earth. Kiely and her family lived in a more rural area of Truckee, and some would describe it as more off-grid, although many locals in the mountain towns of California live this way.
Okay, so let's still do this in the interests of accuracy. So, yes, he has identified Kiely's parents, but he hasn't identified the fact that they were separated for a very long time, and that in actual fact Tony Neiman was as much a father to Kiely as Daniel Rodni. Tony Neiman was Lindsay's current husband and the father of Kiely's brother. They all did live off-grid at the Lost Trail Lodge. To put it in little quotes is wrong because it was off-grid. The lodge itself had been built by Kiely's grandfather. From the ground up, he put in like the generator and the power systems and everything. It was literally off-grid. Their water, their power and everything came from within the lodge. And it was quite a way off the beaten track. In winter, they became isolated and the only way they could get out was on snow skis or snow sleds. So it was very much off-grid. It wasn't just some sort of, I'm not quite sure what he meant by that, but it was definitely off-grid. Their power came from their own generated, they had a hydropower, I believe, and a generator, and they also had their own water pumped in. So it was completely off-grid, and while yes, Lindsay and Daniel were Kiely's parents, Daniel did not live with them. Kiely's other father, her stepfather, was Tony Neiman.
For Kiely, this was just her ordinary way of life. She was known for being a very happy person, so it was clear that her more off-grid lifestyle was panning out great for her. As the weekend finally rolled around, Kiely couldn't have been more excited to attend the campground party with her friends.
Look, I get the idea of artistic license. When you're creating a video like this, like I said, the idea is to create an appealing narrative. He wants to get his listeners engaged and keep them engaged. But let's call a spade a spade. We don't know if Kylie was excited about this party. Like I said, it was a last minute decision. It wasn't something she had planned. We don't know why she chose to go to the party instead of going to Reno with her family. So to turn around and say that she was excited about going to the party, to me, is a huge leap. And under the circumstances, I think it is somewhat erroneous to make that leap, not knowing why it was that she went to the party. We don't know if she was lured there for some reason that wasn't an exciting reason.
At around 6 p.m. on the 5th of August, Kiely set out towards the party, with their parents never realizing they would never see their daughter again.
Okay, just to clarify the timeline there, the last time Lindsay saw her daughter was that morning, not at 6 o'clock in the evening. We don't know what time Daniel last saw Kylie. We don't know what time Tony last saw Kylie. We have heard from a private investigator who inserted himself into the case, but who is also very good at making up stories, that she may have had lunch with her grandfather. But then talking about her spending time with her friend and making creme brulee, something which I believe takes a little bit of time. I'm not sure if that actually did happen, because time-wise that could be kind of tricky. So no, saying that she set off for the party at 6 p.m. and that, her family didn't know that they would never see her again, that's leading people astray, I believe. And I do apologise. I'm not trying to be overly critical of this guy. He is really trying to give a narrative here and give people a clear picture. And I can understand why he's saying 6 p.m. because of that photo, that footage from the truck stop or whatever it was. And we'll get onto that in just a minute. But we know that she probably didn't set off to go to the party at 6 p.m. We don't know where Kylie was from that point in the afternoon where she made creme brulee with her friend Kate to roughly 9 or 10 o'clock when she turned up at the party. So there is a large gap in time that is unaccounted for.
Shortly after 6 p.m. on the 5th, Kiely goes into a gas station in Truckee, about halfway between her home and the party's location, where surveillance cameras captured footage of her browsing the store.
I don't know what filter he used on this image, but I have to say this filter is perfect for what I'm going to show you. And those of us who have been following Kylie's case very closely can, of course, point these things out without me pointing it out. But let's get into it. So first of all, for those of you who are not familiar with this image, if you look at her front, just above the centre of her breasts, there is a tattoo there. That tattoo, we know, is in the exact same position as a tattoo on Sammy Smith. That is one thing that for many people gives an indication that that was not Kylie but Sammy Smith in this photograph. Now we also look at her hair, and the length of the hair is considerably shorter than Kylie's hair. That is consistent, once again, with Sammy Smith. And of course the part in the hair and the way it sits on her face is also consistent with Sammy Smith. Now the big thing, two big things. One thing which has been pointed out is that there is a lump to the side of her nose, under her eye. That lump can be seen on Sammy Smith's face. And the big thing for me that I think is conclusive, and why I think this particular filter on this photo is brilliant, is that if you look at the chin on this image, you can see that it's what I would call a butt chin. It has the two knobs and it has the indent in the middle. That's not Kiely.
A couple hours later, close to 10 p.m., Kiely arrives at the campground with her friend Magdalene, and she then links up with another friend, Sammy Smith. Sammy and Kiely spend most of their time at the party together, sharing drinks and breaking off briefly to chat with others.
Okay, it's important to note here that for some reason, Magdalene, who arrived at the party with Kiely, supposedly left 10 minutes or half an hour after they arrived. We don't know why she chose to leave, and it seems odd that Kiely has gone to a party that she didn't intend on going to with a friend who has then turned around and left. Particularly because any one of Kiely's friends and family will tell you that Kiely and Sammy weren't friends. In fact, Kiely didn't even like Sammy. So that brings into question a lot of things in relation to the party. Why were we told that Kiely and Sammy were hanging around together at the party the whole night and only separated for mere moments, in Sammy's words? It doesn't seem to ring true. Particularly when you have to question, where were Sammy's real friends? Surely she wasn't ignoring her real friends to hang out with someone who she wasn't even friends with. There's definitely something hinky there in relation to what was going on here. We have no witnesses to say that they saw Kiely and Sammy hanging out together for the entire night. In fact, we have no witnesses to say they saw Sammy and Kiely hanging out together, full stop. These are important factors because they do shed some light on what might have been going on at that party.
While this was supposed to be a tight-knit gathering of local teens, word about this campground party traveled fast, and soon people from all over Northern California were making their way to Prosser to attend. Reports state that anywhere from 200 to 300 people were in attendance that night. Due to the tendency for wildfires in this area, the partygoers could not light a bonfire, meaning that unless there were other sources of light, the area was pitch black.
We have accounts from multiple sources saying that there actually was a bonfire down on the beach. Now, this is not something I can confirm for 100%. It's not something that has been confirmed by law enforcement, but it has certainly been something that has been said or mentioned by many people, locals and people in connection with the party.
It's been said that many people used glow sticks, electric lanterns, and their headlights to illuminate the area. Kiely and her group of friends had, of course, attended parties like this before. Kiely's mom trusted her daughter and had told news outlets that she never, ever drank and drove. Kiely was both smarter than that and incredibly responsible. Kiely's friends have backed up the statement, saying they never saw Kiely drink at a party and then drive afterward. Thus, Lindsay had no qualms about letting Kiely attend.
I think that's near enough to let that go, but I do want to point out one really crucial thing here, and that is that Kiely's family and friends did say that she was a responsible girl. She was not someone who would take the risk of drink driving. And yet, after Kiely was found in her vehicle in the reservoir, and people were no longer trying to push the abduction theory, suddenly people were, oh, well, she was really drunk and she decided to drive drunk and this is what happened. It doesn't add up.
At around 11 p.m., the girls walked to Kiely's silver Honda CR-V to charge Kiely's phone. They sat there and talked for some time, sharing a few drinks, and part of the conversation included Sammy asking for a ride home that evening. At around 11:30 p.m., Lindsay says she received a text from Kiely, saying she was about to leave the party and was headed straight home.
Like I said before, I can appreciate that it is extremely difficult when you are trying to create a narrative that's going to be engaging for your viewers and you're trying to tell a story that you're probably not overly familiar with. So it is easy to make mistakes. So let's clarify all these things. Okay, we know that they went to Kylie's car, supposedly went to Kylie's car at around 11. Supposedly this was to charge Kylie's car. Now, we were never told at any point in time that they sat and had drinks while they were at the vehicle. That's not something that has been mentioned, so this is something where he's taken a bit of license and added that in as his own thing. We also don't know how long they were at that vehicle for. So he's also taking a bit of license there, saying that they were there for quite some time. For all we know, they could have gone to the vehicle if that occurred. Then maybe they went to the vehicle at 11:30. Kylie charged her phone a little bit, texted her mum, and then they went back into the party. We do not know the full details of what happened when they went to that car, if they went to that car. We do know one thing though, in terms of this 11:30 texting Lindsay. She didn't text her to say that she was just leaving. She texted Lindsay to get an extension on her curfew so that she would be leaving 45 minutes later. There's a big difference there. Okay? She was not texting her mum to say she was on her way home. She was texting her mum to ask permission to stay longer. We don't know why she decided to stay longer. This is a good kid who would have recognised that that was going to be cutting into her vehicle curfew, as in she was underage and shouldn't have been driving that late. And we also know that she wasn't someone who was going to be a heavy drinker at a party. So why? And of course, we have accounts from law enforcement that Kylie had mentioned to friends at 12 o'clock that she wanted to go home. We do have the account from Sammy that she asked Kylie for a lift home at the time when they were at the car. But at the same time, we can't confirm this as fact.
Lindsay, who'd witnessed Kylie's hard work to graduate early with honors, trusted her daughter to be home when she said she would be there. She had no doubt in her mind that Kylie would be home shortly. Lindsay texted her back, telling Kylie to be safe and that she loved her. Kylie's response was, "Okay, I love you too." Between 11:30 p.m. and 12:20 a.m., Sammy decides that Kylie is too intoxicated to drive her home and arranges for another ride.
Let's talk about that also. According to Sammy, even though she had been sitting there at Kylie's vehicle and asked Kylie for a ride home, she then went back to the party from the vehicle, separated from Kylie, so almost immediately separated from Kylie so she could go and ask someone else for a lift home. So it doesn't make sense for Sammy to say that she had then decided after asking Kylie for a lift that Kylie was too intoxicated to drive her. Because according to Sammy's timeline, she asked Kylie for a lift home while they were at the vehicle, then went straight back into the party, separated from Kylie, and went looking for someone to ask for someone else to give her a lift home. This is just one of many anomalies with Sammy's story where she contradicts herself and things just don't quite add up.
The two girls parted ways, Sammy telling authorities that she said her goodbyes with Kylie at about 12:25 a.m. Minutes later, at 12:36, Sammy explained that she received another call from Kylie inquiring about her ride. Sammy says she could hear talking in the background, so she believed Kylie to still be at the party, but she couldn't be sure. Unbeknownst to Sammy, this would be the last time anyone spoke to Kylie.
Can we add an allegedly at the end of this sentence, please? Several reasons for this. First of all, Sammy claims that Kylie rang her at 12:36 to ask her where she was and if she still needed a lift home. And yet, records by law enforcement show that, first of all, Kylie's location data on her mobile phone was turned off at 12:03, and the very, very last ping from her phone was 12:33, 3 minutes before Kylie supposedly rang Sammy. How can you ring someone when your phone is turned off? Now, the other things that we need to take into account here is that there are subsequent accounts of people having seen Kiely's vehicle leaving the party, and also there are multiple accounts of people having seen Kiely and or her vehicle the subsequent day at Boca Reservoir, which was near where Kiely went missing. We also have law enforcement very, very specifically saying that after 12:33 a.m. they cannot confirm anything in relation to Kiely Rodni's timeline. This, of course, is before all the news came out about the roadside assistance guy and the stories about people seeing her vehicle or her at Boca Reservoir. But in terms of Sammy's claims of being rang by Kiely at 12:36, law enforcement essentially came out and said that's bullshit, because with people questioning, someone actually specifically questioned law enforcement about that particular incident, and their response was, we cannot confirm anything within the timeline after 12:33 a.m. Now, I do apologise to this guy. Like I said, I feel that he has done a good job of creating his documentary, but I also feel that it's important to get Kiely's story out there in full. I'm going to stop here, and I will continue with this whole breakdown of this documentary in another video. So, thanks for listening. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the like button, and please leave a comment below.